Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a question. What's the very first thing you do when you wake up? Be honest. Do you grab your phone, scroll social media, check emails? Maybe you hit snooze 1, 2, 3 times. Now, I want you to imagine this. You have a phone that you love. Every night you plug it in to charge. But in the morning, instead of 100%, it wakes up at 20% battery. You wouldn't feel ready to use it, right? You'd panic. You'd think something's wrong. Well, that's exactly what most people do with their brain every single day. You wake up, and instead of charging your mind to 100%, you start your day with distractions, stress, and other people's problems, and then you wonder why you feel tired, unfocused, and overwhelmed. But here's the truth: your morning determines your momentum. Your first hour sets the tone for your next 23 hours. If you want a sharper mind, faster learning, better memory, more creativity, and unshakable focus, then you must master your morning. The moment your alarm rings in the morning, you are faced with your first decision of the day, whether to rise or whether to retreat. And most people retreat. They hit snooze, telling themselves it's just 5 more minutes, but those 5 minutes aren't harmless. They're not simply extra rest. They are the first signal you send to your brain about how you operate. When you hit snooze, you are reinforcing a habit of hesitation. You are telling yourself, it's okay to delay. It's okay to push things off. My commitments can wait. That is not the mindset of someone who wants to achieve extraordinary results. Every time you press that button, you train your brain that comfort comes before commitment, that short-term ease is more important than long-term success. Think about the psychology of it. Your day hasn't even started, and already you've chosen procrastination. You've chosen to break a promise you made to yourself the night before when you set that alarm. That one decision may seem small, but it has a ripple effect. The same brain that gives in to the snooze button is the same brain that will later give in to skipping the gym, delaying a project, or avoiding a difficult conversation. You are practicing avoidance before you've even put your feet on the floor. I want you to imagine something different. Picture yourself as a warrior preparing for battle. The alarm is your call to arms. The second it goes off, you don't hesitate, you get up. You move. You take that first action with energy and intention. What you're really doing is building mental armor. You are teaching your brain that you do not negotiate with your goals. When it's time to act, you act. No debate, no bargaining, just forward motion. There's a powerful reason why many high performers refuse to hit snooze. It's not because they're naturally morning people. It's because they understand the value of starting the day with a win. Your mind craves progress, and the moment you get out of bed without delay, you've already created your first victory. That tiny win creates momentum, and momentum compounds. One win leads to another. Before you know it, you've built a chain of decisive actions that carry you through the day. A practical way to make this happen is to set yourself up for success the night before. Place your alarm clock or phone across the room so you have to physically get out of bed to turn it off. This breaks the pattern of mindlessly hitting snooze because you're forcing your body into action before your brain has a chance to talk you out of it. As soon as you're up, take a small physical action, drink a glass of water, stretch, or even just open your curtains. This signals to your brain, the day has begun, and I am in motion. There's another layer here, your identity. If you see yourself as someone who struggles in the morning, your behavior will match that belief. But if you choose to see yourself as disciplined, as someone who gets up with purpose, you'll act in alignment with that identity. Every morning is an opportunity to cast a vote for the kind of person you want to be. The way you start is a declaration of who you are becoming. I want you to think back to a time when you were excited to get up. Maybe it was the morning of a trip, the first day at a new job, or a big event you've been anticipating. Did you hit snooze that day? Probably not. You woke up quickly because you had a reason. That shows you it's not that you can't wake up early, it's that you haven't yet connected your mornings to something that excites you. Give yourself a reason that's bigger than comfort. Attach your mornings to your goals, your growth, and your future. There's also a physiological factor. When you wake up and then go back to sleep, you're interrupting your body's natural sleep cycles. This often leads to something called sleep inertia, which is that groggy, heavy feeling that can last for hours. It's not more rest, it's actually more confusion for your brain. That's why people who hit snooze often feel more tired than those who just get up the first time. By resisting the urge to snooze, you protect your mental clarity and energy. And here's the thing, you don't have to transform your entire morning routine overnight. Start with this one discipline. When the alarm goes off, you get up. No negotiations. You can even turn it into a personal challenge. Tell yourself, I don't break promises to myself, and each morning you succeed, acknowledge it, celebrate it. That simple act of self-respect will spill over into every area of your life. Tomorrow morning when your alarm sounds, I want you to imagine your future self watching you. 10 years from now, the version of you who has achieved everything you dream about is standing there, waiting to see what you'll do. Will you let them down, or will you rise? Will you show them that you are serious about the life you want, or will you press a button that says, "Not today"? You're not just getting out of bed, you're proving to yourself that you are in control of your actions, your mindset, and your destiny. This is about more than mornings. It's about creating a standard for your life. People who succeed consistently aren't necessarily smarter or more talented. They're just relentless about keeping the promises they make to themselves. And the first promise you make every day is to wake up when you said you would. That single act creates trust with yourself, and self-trust is the foundation of confidence. Confidence isn't built in big moments. It's built in these tiny decisions you make when no one is watching. So when tomorrow comes and that alarm sounds, choose to win your first battle. Feel the satisfaction of taking immediate action. Let that momentum carry you into the rest of your day. Because when you control your mornings, you don't just wake up, you wake up your mind, your ambition, and your entire life. The very first thing your body needs in the morning isn't coffee, isn't breakfast, and it definitely isn't a flood of emails or social media notifications, it's water. Your brain, that incredible organ that controls your thoughts, your focus, your creativity, and your decisions, is made up of about 75% water. When you wake up, you've just gone 6, 7, maybe even 8 hours without a single sip. Think about that. If you went that long during the day without water, you'd feel sluggish, foggy, maybe even dizzy. Yet most people roll out of bed and start their day completely dehydrated, wondering why they can't focus or think clearly. The truth is, the moment you open your eyes, your brain is already running at a deficit, and you have the power to fix that instantly. When you wake up dehydrated, it's like starting a marathon already exhausted. Your neurons can't fire as efficiently, your blood is thicker and moves more slowly, and your body struggles to deliver oxygen and nutrients where they're needed most. Even a small 2% drop in hydration can slow down your cognitive function, impact your short-term memory, and make it harder to concentrate. This is why so many people feel groggy for hours after waking up. It's not that they didn't sleep enough, it's that their brain is literally thirsty. Now imagine the opposite. Picture waking up, your feet hitting the floor, and instead of stumbling toward the coffee maker, you reach for a tall glass of fresh water. The first sip sends a signal to your brain and body: we're starting fresh, we're recharging, we're ready. That water begins to rehydrate every cell in your body, thinning your blood so your heart doesn't have to work as hard, improving circulation so more oxygen and nutrients reach your brain, and flushing out the toxins your body processed overnight. In just minutes, you begin to feel more alert, more focused, and more awake. Not because of caffeine, but because you've given your body the fuel it was actually craving. One of the simplest and most powerful morning upgrades you can make is to prepare your water the night before. Set a full glass or bottle by your bed so the moment you wake up, it's right there, no excuses. To take it a step further, add a pinch of Himalayan or sea salt and a squeeze of fresh lemon. The salt helps replenish the electrolytes you lose overnight through breathing and sweating, while the lemon adds vitamin C, supports digestion, and gives you a clean, refreshing flavor that wakes up your senses. This small ritual does something else important. It creates an intentional start to your day. You're telling your brain, I care for my mind and body before anything else. That's powerful. Because if you can choose the right first action in the morning, you're far more likely to keep making smart, healthy choices throughout the day. Your brain thrives on patterns, and hydration is one of the simplest patterns you can master. I remember speaking with an athlete who was struggling with morning workouts. He had discipline, he had talent, but he said he felt like he was moving through mud for the first hour of training. When I asked him about his morning routine, he admitted he usually went straight for coffee and sometimes didn't drink water until mid-morning. We changed one thing. He had to drink 20 ounces of water immediately upon waking. Within a week, he said his energy was different, his focus sharper, and he was performing better. No supplements, no expensive hacks, just water. And it's not just about physical energy. Your mood is directly linked to hydration. Studies have shown that even mild dehydration can increase feelings of anxiety and irritability. If you wake up and feel unmotivated, low energy, or mentally scattered, it might not be your mindset, it might be your hydration level. That's how fundamental this is. You can try all the productivity tricks in the world, but if your brain is thirsty, it will never operate at its best. For those who say they forget, I challenge you to make hydration so automatic it's part of your identity. Think of yourself as someone who fuels their brain like an elite performer. You wouldn't drive a car without oil. Why would you run your brain without water? Attach this habit to something you already do. Drink your water before you even check your phone, or make it the first step before your morning coffee. Over time, your body will start craving it, and you'll notice when you skip it. If you want proof of how powerful this is, try an experiment for the next 7 days. As soon as you wake up, drink a full glass of water, 16 to 20 ounces, before doing anything else. Don't change anything else in your morning routine. Just watch how your mental clarity, focus, and energy shift. Notice how your skin feels better, your digestion improves, and your mood lifts. You might be surprised to find that the morning brain fog you thought was just who you are was actually dehydration all along. Here's the thing. Big changes in your life don't always come from massive overhauls. They come from small, consistent actions that you repeat until they become part of you. Morning hydration is one of those keystone habits. It's simple, it's free, and it works every single time. Yet most people overlook it because it seems too basic to matter. But the truth is, your brain is the most energy-hungry organ in your body, and it depends on water to function. Treating hydration as optional is like treating oxygen as optional. It's not going to end well. Tomorrow morning, I want you to think of your glass of water as more than just hydration. Think of it as the first vote you cast for your health, your focus, and your goals. It's a statement that says, I show up for myself from the very first moment of the day. That's not just how you start your morning. That's how you start building a life of clarity, energy, and unstoppable momentum. Most people wake up and breathe without thinking, but the way they breathe is shallow, rushed, and unconscious. It's almost like their body is on autopilot while their mind is still trying to wake up. What they don't realize is that the quality of their breathing directly affects the quality of their thinking. Your brain needs oxygen like a fire needs fuel. Without enough of it, your thoughts slow down, your focus blurs, and your energy fades. You can have the best intentions for your day, but if your brain isn't getting the oxygen it needs, it's like trying to run a race with your shoes tied together. When you wake up, your breathing patterns are often influenced by your sleeping position. Many people breathe shallowly into their chest instead of deeply into their diaphragm, which means less oxygen reaches the lower parts of the lungs where the richest exchange happens. The result is less oxygen in the blood, and less oxygen in the blood means less fuel for the brain. Even mild oxygen deprivation can cause brain fog, irritability, and that heavy, sluggish feeling that makes it harder to get moving in the morning. This is why starting your day with intentional breathing is so powerful. It's like flipping the switch from low power mode to full performance mode. Deep breathing not only oxygenates your brain, but also activates your parasympathetic nervous system, reducing stress hormones and bringing your mind into a state of calm focus. This isn't just about feeling relaxed. It's about creating the optimal state for learning, creativity, and problem solving before your day even begins. One simple way to do this is with the 4-7-8 breathing technique. The process is straightforward. Inhale deeply through your nose for a count of 4, hold that breath for a count of 7, and then exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 8. This pattern forces you to slow down, fill your lungs completely, and release stale air that's been sitting in your system. Just 2 minutes of this can leave you feeling sharper, calmer, and more centered. The beauty of this practice is that it requires no equipment, no cost, and almost no time. You can do it before you get out of bed, while standing by a window, or as part of another habit like drinking your morning water. What matters is that you make it intentional. You are sending a signal to your body and mind. We're starting the day with clarity and control, not chaos and hurry. I've worked with people who thought they had attention problems, stress issues, or constant fatigue. And in some cases, those symptoms dramatically improved simply by changing how they breathed. One executive told me that the first few minutes of his mornings used to feel like drowning in thoughts. His mind raced, his chest felt tight, and his energy crashed by mid-morning. When he began practicing deep breathing before looking at his phone or starting work, he said it was like someone turned the lights on in his brain. His mind felt quieter, but his thinking was sharper. That's the paradox. Slowing down your breath actually speeds up your brain. This isn't just anecdotal, science backs it up. Controlled breathing increases oxygen levels in the blood, which in turn boosts ATP production, the actual energy currency of your cells. More ATP means your neurons can fire faster and more efficiently. On top of that, deep breathing can help balance carbon dioxide levels in the body, which influences how oxygen is delivered to your tissues. It's not just about how much oxygen you take in, but how effectively your body uses it. If you want to take this to the next level, combine your breathing practice with movement. Stand tall, roll your shoulders back, and as you inhale, imagine your ribcage expanding in all directions, forward, sideways, and even into your back. As you exhale, imagine letting go of any tension from the night before. This physical awareness makes the breathing even more effective and helps you feel fully awake in both body and mind. You might think you don't have time for this in the morning, but the truth is you don't have time not to. 2 to 3 minutes of deep breathing can make the next 16 hours of your day more productive, more creative, and less stressful. It's the kind of habit that gives you back more energy than it costs. Some people use this breathing time to visualize their goals or repeat affirmations, combining oxygen with intention. Imagine inhaling energy, clarity, and confidence, and exhaling doubt, fatigue, and negativity. The brain responds powerfully to pairing physical states with mental focus, and breathing is one of the fastest ways to shift your state. If you've ever felt like your mornings are a blur, or that you start the day in reaction mode instead of creation mode, this is your reset button. Breathing deeply is a way of taking control before the world demands anything from you. It's a reminder that your mind and body are connected, and that your performance in life starts with how you fuel both. Tomorrow, when you wake up, instead of rushing straight into the noise of the day, pause for just a few moments. Find a comfortable position, close your eyes, and take that first intentional breath. Feel your lungs fill, your shoulders drop, and your mind sharpen. This is you taking charge. This is you deciding that your mind will not run on autopilot today. Make it a ritual, and you'll notice over time that your mornings feel different. Not just calmer, but more powerful. You'll find that ideas come faster, conversations flow more easily, and challenges feel more manageable. Why? Because you've given your brain the oxygen it needs to operate at full capacity. Breathing is the most fundamental thing you do, but it's also the most overlooked tool for mental performance. By making it a conscious part of your morning, you're not just filling your lungs, you're fueling your potential. Every deep breath is a reminder that you are in control, that you can create the state you need to succeed, and that the way you start your day is the way you set the tone for everything that follows. When you think about boosting your brain power, you might imagine reading more books, taking supplements, or learning new skills. But one of the fastest, most effective ways to fire up your mind in the morning has nothing to do with what you read or eat. It's about how you move. Your brain and body are deeply connected. And when you get your body moving, you're not just waking up your muscles, you're waking up your mind. Movement increases blood flow, which means more oxygen and nutrients are delivered to your brain. It triggers the release of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF, which acts like fertilizer for your neurons, helping them grow, connect, and communicate better. This isn't just about physical health, it's about priming your brain for learning, focus, and creativity. Most people start their mornings in a way that signals sluggishness. They move slowly, they slump in their chair at breakfast. They stare at a phone screen while barely shifting their posture. The body is still in near sleep mode, so the brain is too. You can't expect mental clarity if your physical state is one of stillness and low energy. The opposite is also true. When you change your physiology, your psychology follows. The phrase motion creates emotion is backed by science. When you stand tall, breathe deeply, and move with intention, your brain gets the message that it's time to be alert and engaged. It doesn't have to be a long workout. In fact, just 5 minutes of purposeful movement can dramatically shift your mental state. You could do a quick set of jumping jacks, push-ups, or squats. You could jog in place, dance to your favorite song, or go outside for a brisk walk. The key is to elevate your heart rate enough to get blood pumping and oxygen flowing. Those few minutes can act as a mental on switch, turning grogginess into alertness. I once worked with a group of entrepreneurs who complained about feeling mentally stuck during their morning meetings. They'd show up with coffee in hand, but still looked half asleep. I challenged them to do something unusual. Before every meeting, they had to do 2 minutes of movement, anything that got their bodies engaged. At first, they laughed. But after just 1 week, they reported sharper thinking, faster decision-making, and more creative problem-solving. Nothing else about the meetings had changed, just the state they brought into the room. There's also a deeper mental benefit to morning movement. It builds discipline. Moving your body before you feel like it reminds you that action comes before motivation, not the other way around. You're training yourself to lead with behavior instead of waiting for the perfect mood. That mindset carries into your work, your relationships, and your long-term goals. You stop waiting for the right time, and you start making things happen. If you want to multiply the effect, combine movement with something else that stimulates your mind. For example, listen to an inspiring podcast while walking or do a visualization exercise while stretching. This way, you're feeding your brain from both the physical and mental sides at the same time. The more senses you involve, the more anchored the habit becomes, and the easier it is for your brain to associate movement with clarity. Another overlooked benefit is that movement in the morning helps regulate your hormones. Physical activity lowers cortisol levels, the stress hormone that spikes when you wake up. At the same time, it increases dopamine and serotonin, the neurotransmitters that influence motivation, mood, and focus. By moving early, you're essentially rebalancing your brain chemistry so you start your day on the right emotional footing. Instead of being reactive to whatever happens, you're proactive in shaping your mental state. Some people tell me they just don't have the energy to move in the morning. But here's the paradox: you don't move because you have energy. You have energy because you move. That initial push might feel hard, but within minutes your body warms up. Your breathing deepens and your brain shifts gears. You don't need to go from zero to full sprint. Start small. Even 20 seconds of high knees or a quick stretch can make a noticeable difference. I've seen this transform morning routines for people in all walks of life. A teacher I once worked with said she started doing just 3 minutes of yoga before leaving for school. She noticed she was calmer in traffic, more patient with her students, and more creative in her lessons. A CEO began doing a set of push-ups every morning before checking his phone. He said it reminded him he was in control of his day, not the other way around. These small wins build self-respect, and that's the foundation for bigger wins later. If you're wondering how to start, choose something you enjoy. It doesn't have to be formal exercise. Put on music you love and move to it. Step outside and let the sunlight hit your face while you walk. Do a short routine of stretches that makes your body feel open and alive. What matters is that it's consistent and intentional. The habit will become less about the type of movement, more about the signal it sends. I am awake, I am active, I am ready. The mental clarity you feel after moving isn't just in your head, it's measurable. Studies show that exercise increases connectivity between different parts of the brain, especially those involved in memory and decision making. That means you're literally wiring your brain for better performance just by taking a few minutes to move in the morning. And when you start your day feeling sharper, that sharpness doesn't just vanish. It influences every conversation, every task, and every choice you make. Tomorrow, when you wake up, resist the temptation to stay in stillness. Instead, give yourself the gift of movement. Feel the blood flowing, the air filling your lungs, and the shift in your mental state. Remind yourself that your body is the vehicle for your brain, and the better you care for it, the better your mind will perform. Don't wait for the perfect conditions to begin. Use movement to create the perfect conditions for your day. In just a few minutes, you can turn morning fog into mental fire, and that fire can fuel everything that follows. The moment you wake up, your brain is like a sponge. It will absorb whatever you give it first. If the first thing you consume in the morning is a flood of social media posts, news headlines, or emails, you're letting the outside world decide what fills your mind. Before you've even had a chance to think for yourself, you've been fed other people's opinions, problems, and priorities. You're essentially giving up control of your mental operating system for the day. That's why so many people feel scattered, reactive, and emotionally drained before they've even started their work. They've allowed their brain's most impressionable moments to be hijacked. Your mind is most open and suggestible in the first 30 to 60 minutes after waking. This is because your brain transitions from a theta brainwave state, which is deeply relaxed and receptive, into an alpha state, which is highly creative and focused. These are golden moments for learning, problem solving, and setting your mindset. But if you spend them scrolling through feeds or reading stressful news, you're essentially training your brain to start the day in reaction mode. You're feeding it mental junk food when it's craving something nourishing. Think of it this way. You wouldn't roll out of bed and eat a candy bar for breakfast every day if you cared about your body. But that's exactly what you're doing to your mind when you start the day with low-quality mental input. Just like your body needs high-quality fuel, your mind needs high-quality thoughts, ideas, and information to function at its best. The alternative is simple and powerful. Feed your mind something that builds you, something that primes you for the kind of day you want to have. This could be 10 minutes of reading a book that inspires you, listening to a podcast that teaches you something valuable, or writing in a journal to clarify your goals. It could be affirmations that reinforce your confidence, or a gratitude practice that shifts your focus toward what's good in your life. The key is to be intentional about what you allow into your mental space before the world has a chance to intrude. One CEO I worked with told me that her mornings used to start with checking her inbox, which immediately made her feel like she was behind and already fighting fires. We made one change. She had to spend the first 20 minutes of her morning reading something related to leadership or personal growth before looking at any messages. Within 2 weeks, she said her mornings felt calmer, her decision-making was clearer, and her overall mood improved. It wasn't magic, it was simply choosing what to feed her mind first. There's also a neurological advantage to this habit. Your brain's reticular activating system serves as like a filter, deciding which information gets your attention. When you feed your mind something empowering first thing in the morning, your RAS begins to look for more of that same energy throughout the day. Read about opportunity, and you'll spot it. Read about problems and negativity, and your mind will hunt for those instead. You get more of what you focus on, and your mornings set that focus. For some people, the challenge is that their phone is their alarm clock, which makes it too easy to fall into the trap of checking notifications right away. One way to break this habit is to use a separate alarm clock and leave your phone in another room overnight. That way you physically separate yourself from the temptation to scroll, and you can create a clear mental boundary between waking up and plugging into the digital world. Another strategy is to create a morning menu for your mind. Instead of leaving your input to chance, have a list of pre-approved activities you can choose from, such as reading a chapter from a specific book, practicing a language, reviewing your vision board, or writing down 3 intentions for the day. By having this ready, you make it easier to avoid defaulting to social media or email out of habit. The impact of this shift is bigger than most people expect. When you start your day with empowering content or intentional reflection, you build a sense of agency. You feel like you're driving your own life rather than being pulled along by outside forces. This confidence spills over into your work, your interactions, and your problem solving. You approach challenges with a proactive mindset instead of a defensive one. It's worth noting that this isn't about ignoring reality or avoiding information. It's about timing. The news will still be there later in the day, but your brain's prime programming window is first thing in the morning. Protecting that window is one of the most valuable things you can do for your mental clarity and emotional stability. If you've ever felt like your days blur together, or that you're constantly putting out fires instead of moving toward your goals, this habit can be a game changer. By feeding your mind with purpose in the morning, you create an anchor for your day, a stable starting point that reminds you of who you are and what you're working toward. Even if the rest of the day is chaotic, you'll have that foundation to return to. Tomorrow morning, when you wake up, resist the pull of the digital world for just a little while. Instead, pick up a book that makes you think bigger. Write down your top 3 goals and visualize yourself achieving them. Listen to something that challenges your perspective and expands your mind. Give yourself the gift of intentional input before the noise begins. Because here's the truth, your mind is the most powerful asset you have. And the way you feed it in the first moments of the day can either sharpen it or dull it. You get to decide. And when you choose to feed it something powerful, you're not just setting up a better morning, you're setting the tone for a better life. When you train your mind in the morning, you prepare it to face the unpredictable storms of the day. One of the most powerful ways to do this is through intentional learning, feeding your brain with knowledge that ignites curiosity, sharpens problem-solving skills, and fuels innovation. Every morning, before the noise of the world invades your mental space, you have a golden window where your mind is fresh, your energy is unscattered, and your focus is at its peak. This is the time to pour in quality mental nutrition. Imagine your brain as a sponge. In the morning, it's dry and ready to absorb. What you choose to give it determines how sharp, resourceful, and confident you will be in the hours that follow. Many people wake up and immediately drown their mind in social media feeds, random news, or gossip, which is like filling that sponge with muddy water. It might seem like information, but it clouds clarity and reduces your ability to think creatively. Instead, this is your moment to feed it something that will expand you. Read a few pages from a thought-provoking book, listen to an inspiring podcast, or study something that moves you closer to your personal and professional goals. Even 15 minutes of focused, intentional learning in the morning can completely shift your mental energy and set you apart from the majority of people who spend that time distracted. To put this into perspective, think about the compound effect. 15 minutes a day might seem small, but over a year, that's more than 90 hours of learning, a college-level course's worth of personal growth without overwhelming your schedule. Imagine how much more articulate, confident, and capable you'd be if you invested that time into building your mind instead of letting it drift aimlessly. There's a reason why the world's top performers, from CEOs to athletes, are often voracious learners. They understand that the ability to think clearly, adapt quickly, and make better decisions doesn't come by accident. It's trained, refined, and sharpened every single day. And the morning is the best time to do it because your brain is operating at its highest natural capacity after a good night's rest. One powerful practice to make this habit stick is what I call brain priming. Right after you wake up, before you check your phone or get lost in the day's demands, ask yourself, what is one skill, idea, or concept I can learn today that will make me better than I was yesterday? Then act on it immediately. Keep a learning list, topics you've always wanted to explore, skills you want to develop, or subjects that inspire you. This way, you never waste mental energy figuring out what to study. You just open your list and dive in. It could be something as practical as learning a few phrases in another language, studying a business strategy, or exploring a creative technique that challenges your thinking. The goal is not just to gather random facts, but to feed your mind with knowledge you can apply. Something that will elevate your capabilities and confidence. Emotionally, think about how you feel when you solve a problem, understand something deeply, or gain an insight that changes your perspective. It's like a spark inside you, a rush of empowerment. Now imagine feeling that every single morning before the world even starts asking for your attention. You'd walk into your day not just prepared, but ahead of the curve. You'd notice connections others miss, spot opportunities faster, and approach challenges with a calmer, more strategic mindset. That's the edge you get when you start your mornings with intentional learning. It's mental armor and a competitive advantage rolled into one. I remember working with a young entrepreneur who was constantly stressed and overwhelmed by the pace of his work. He said his days always felt chaotic, like he was constantly reacting to fires. I suggested a simple shift. Dedicate the first 20 minutes of his day to learning something that could either solve a problem in his business or improve his leadership. Within weeks, he reported that his thinking felt sharper and more proactive. He wasn't just reacting anymore, he was anticipating, planning, and innovating. That small shift gave him mental clarity, which reduced his stress and boosted his results. The difference wasn't in his workload. It was in the state of his mind when he faced that workload. This is where you have a choice every morning. You can feed your brain with distraction and random noise, or you can feed it with clarity, focus, and empowerment. One builds a reactive, anxious mind, the other builds a confident, creative one. And here's the truth. You don't have to be a morning person to do this. You just have to decide that your mental growth is a priority. Even if you wake up groggy, even if you only have 10 minutes, you can still choose to learn something valuable before diving into the world's demands. Over time, you'll notice that you're not only remembering more, but you're also thinking faster, expressing yourself more clearly, and finding solutions with ease. It's like upgrading your brain's operating system every single day. So tomorrow morning, before you scroll, before you check emails, before you let the world tell you what's urgent, ask yourself, what can I learn right now that will make me more powerful today? Pick one thing, focus on it, and absorb it fully. Do it consistently, and you'll start noticing the shift not just in your mind, but in your career, your relationships, and your self-confidence. Your mornings are the launch pad of your life. What you feed your brain in those first moments isn't just information, it's transformation. Choose wisely, because the quality of your mornings determines the quality of your mind, and the quality of your mind determines the quality of your life. When you reach the final part of your morning routine, the point where you've set your mind, body, and spirit into alignment, you need something that locks it all in, an anchor that ensures you carry this energy into the rest of the day. No matter what life throws at you, this final point is about creating a personal ritual that signals to your brain, we're ready. The day is ours. It doesn't have to be elaborate or complicated, but it must be intentional, deeply personal, and consistent enough that your mind begins to associate it with peak performance and mental clarity. Think about elite athletes before a game. They have a ritual, whether it's a certain warm-up, a specific playlist, or a few moments of stillness. That ritual tells their mind, it's go time. You can do the same for your morning. For example, maybe your ritual is standing in front of the mirror, shoulders back, taking 3 deep breaths, and saying your top 3 affirmations out loud. Or maybe it's a specific song you play every morning as you visualize the big wins you're going to achieve that day. For someone else, it could be brewing coffee in total silence while focusing on gratitude for the opportunities ahead. The details don't matter as much as the consistency and the emotional connection you build to it. Your ritual becomes a trigger for focus and confidence. The emotional power here is that your ritual isn't just a habit. It's a declaration. It's you telling yourself, I decide how I show up today. Too many people stumble into their mornings without intention, letting the first text, the first email, or the first problem they see set the tone for their entire day. That's like handing over the steering wheel of your life before you've even left the driveway. But with a ritual, you take the wheel firmly in your own hands. You're saying, I own my state, I own my focus, I own my energy, and that feeling of being grounded, prepared, and unstoppable can't be shaken by outside noise. Imagine walking into a meeting, a classroom, or even just your daily commute already radiating certainty. You're not wondering how you'll react to the day. You've already decided. That confidence shows in your posture, your tone, your choices. People respond differently to you because you're showing up as someone who is in control of their own story. To put this into practice, you need to design your ritual with care. Start small and make it something you can commit to every single day without fail. If it takes more than 3 to 5 minutes, you probably won't stick with it long term. So keep it short but powerful. Attach it to the last step of your current routine so it flows naturally. For example, right after you finish journaling, you might play your favorite hype song while you visualize 3 moments in the day where you'll win. Or, if you meditate in the morning, your ritual might be to immediately stand tall. Smile and say, let's go, with conviction. Over time, your brain will associate this short ritual with readiness and mental sharpness. And the moment you do it, your focus will spike. This is why professional performers, CEOs, and elite soldiers all use rituals. It's a proven mental trigger that gets you into peak state instantly. Here's the call to action starting tomorrow. Create your own 3-minute morning ritual. Don't overthink it. Just pick something that excites you, grounds you, or energizes you, and commit to doing it for the next 30 days. Write it down tonight so you're not scrambling in the morning. Make it simple, personal, and powerful. Then notice how over the next month, you start carrying that clarity and drive into everything you do. You'll begin to realize that your mornings aren't just the start of your day. They're the launch pad for the life you want to live. And the moment you take full ownership of those first moments, you stop reacting to life and start creating it. This is the real boost, not just for your mind, but for your confidence, your discipline, and your entire future. Because if you can own your morning, you can own your day. And if you can own your day, you can own your life. So tomorrow morning, when you reach that final moment before you head out into the world, remember this is your signal, your ignition switch. Hit it with intention, and watch your life transform from the inside out.